I'm delighted to welcome you here today to the British Library for what is our third Shift conference. People recognise that newspapers, or news brands, continue to play an important role, but that instead of appearing just once a day, they're available 24 hours a day, every day. So what we're going to explore this morning is exactly what this so-called traditional media has to offer when there are so many different options on the table.
Print is alive and well. Newspapers and the journey of newspapers play a vital and, I hope, increasingly visible role in what we do.
Content is king, and yet as automated trading becomes more and more prominent in marketing, are we in danger of losing sight of the importance of context?
Context affects our decision making to a far greater degree than we realise. I think it's impossible actually to overstate the importance of it.
The standout for me was Rory Sutherland. I hadn't heard him before. I thought his perspective was interesting, fresh, original, lots of food for thought. We're all about content and context, and what he said was absolutely spot on.
I really enjoyed hearing about the British Library. I had no idea that the British Library archived absolutely every newspaper periodical, and I should get myself a reader's card.
I loved the debate about context. I thought Rory set that up really brilliantly. I thought then that Douglas carried that on very well by his research, and that gave me an awful lot of hope for news brands, because we are all about the context.
We all recognise the potential of programmatic advertising, and I think there are some myths around what it is that will be interesting to open up.
The debate with the team across programmatic, it's on everyone's mind, the fors, the against, the real and the perceived, genuinely interesting debate.
It's game-changing, because if programmatic is 50% of display advertising at the moment, in 5 years' time it could be 50% of all advertising.
Dealing with the unexpected is tricky, and I think programmatic is serving up lots of unexpected things.
The joy of newspapers compared to the Ofcom environment of TV and radio is that we are partisan, we are outrageous, we are an uncomfortable place to be. Journalism is an exhausting profession. It never stops. There is always an argument to be had. The traditional print media has retained its undoubted position as the agenda setter in chief.
National Press provided us with an environment where we could reach a highly targeted and highly engaged audience who were seeking out the content for the very matches that we were broadcasting.
Thanks to everyone who works in the news brand community, because you've been a really important part of this success as well.
I think news brands are already trying to move in the right direction and talk about context and partnerships and how they can work better for brands, and that's really encouraging, and we just hope to see much more of that going into this year.
Newspapers are, in my view, unquestionably as powerful and influential as they have ever been.
I enjoyed the panel sessions, having those wonderful political columnists all on the stage together. Just give a sense of actually what this wonderful world of British newspaper advertising is, that is actually unique on a global platform.
The press has a huge impact on political debate.
The broadcasters, because they are bound by rules of impartiality, etc., they can't themselves take sides, Labour or Conservative, but they then refract all that through the press. So if something is consistently on the front page of the Daily Mail, then the BBC and the others will follow that, and it will take the form of the paper review as the most obvious form, but it will also just inform what the Today programme decides is the lead, what Newsnight, what the TV news go on.
Because it's going to be a really, really tight election, I think the press will be far more influential. That little bit of difference could make a lot of difference on the night.
Today actually managed to scratch a few surfaces. There were a few subjects that were covered, like ad fraud, like viewability, and I thought today had some flavour as a result.
The factoid that will remain with me is the major advertiser who said 75% of my digital advertising is either wasted or fraud. So it's up to newspapers, news brands to continue to prove just how important context and values and trust are.